I think.
Let him do what he wants.
Go on, Jesus.
Oh my God, is that too hard for you?
This is creative.
Fuck. Yes, it's another shitty podcast. 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 Yes, it's another shitty podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 6 of YASP, short for Yet Another Shitty Podcast. I am your host, Ali, and as usual, well, sadly, we have our co-host, Ami Reza.
First of all, you use the word host for yourself, not the co-host. So you see yourself as the host and me as the co-host. That's an interesting turn of events. But jokes aside, I'm very glad and happy to be able to finally record this goddamn episode, because we've been having a lot of difficulty with this episode and the previous episode. The previous one we were struck with COVID, kind of in continuation. Yeah, like I got it first and then he got it, so that fucked up the entire schedule. And then Ali was like pretty, I would say, neck deep in editing and then uploading with the shitty internet connections here in Iran.
Yes, which has problems with the VPNs as well.
Oh yeah.
Which this might be the last time you'll ever hear from us.
I don't think it's that bad, but things are getting really bad. But let's put all that aside for now. We are today joined by a probably the closest friend that I've ever had, unfortunately. And the guy the voice of the theme of this podcast, like what you hear at the beginning of every episode and what you hear at the end of every episode starting the second season, because in the first season we were using the theme song from Hizar Dastan and Ali Hatami TV show, which we should talk about someday, by the way.
Well, if we don't hear, I'm gonna make a video about it nonetheless. I will talk about that with or without you.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No, but anyways, he's the guy that tells you that yes, it's another shitty podcast, and then kisses you at the end of the theme song.
Oh yeah. So if you've been kind enough to listen to any episode thoroughly, you've been kissed many times. I would say, how many episodes? I think 13 episodes for the second season, and so far 5 episodes for this one. So you've been kissed at least, if you've listened to all of them thoroughly, 18 times by Fouad, virtually, that is. And he's also the guy that
17 times.
Because
12 episodes in the second season.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, he came up
with the music. We care a lot about the podcast. We remember everything about.
Well, we care enough. We're here recording this. But anyways, let the man do the talking. First of all, please introduce yourself, Fouad.
Hey everyone, my name is Fouad, and I'm really happy to be here with you guys. And as my friends just told you, I came up with Amir came up with the idea of the music, but I made the music.
You materialized it. Like I gave you raw material for what I wanted.
Did Amir write the genius lyrics of YASP? Yet another shitty podcast.
I didn't, but we were inside. We were inside my room. No, we weren't inside each other. Well, metaphorically, our brains were inside each other. But anyways,
brainstorming.
We were brain on each other with each other. Anyways, brainstorming isn't something that comes out of you.
Actually, it's storm, so might come on. Oh, okay, whatever. You continue.
Anyways,
this is golden.
We were brainstorming. Yeah, we were brainstorming and I was like, I want it to be funny. I want it to be like as a continuation, not continue, like an extension of the name of the podcast, which is like yet another shitty podcast. It's ironic. It's
completely acronym of the
post modern comedy to some degree. So I wanted it to hold that spirit. Yeah. And but he had brought his guitar, and he just started like making it, and like after I don't know 30 minutes or an hour, we were like, okay, this is good. And then he went to the studio, recorded it, and had it like mixed and mastered and all that. And that's what you hear at the beginning and the end of the show. And like I was kind of in a black box in terms of like knowing what the final product is gonna be. So he just sent me the intro and the outro, and I was like, whoa, especially the kiss, that was a surprise for me as well. I didn't know he has done that. So
Nice.
Actually, it was
A little surprise for you. How romantic.
it was not like in a romantic way, you know. It was like I just wanted to do something like
I don't know about
fits
Amy.
the
I've
acronym.
already jerked off to it.
Oh my god!
whoa.
That's. I think I should be flattered. Maybe. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, as you can also
sexual
hear,
as it could be.
as also you can hear, and I'm really glad about this because it's the first time my sexual jokes are being appreciated. Fouad laughs at all of them.
Oh yeah, he does.
I do really.
He does have quite the reception for sexual jokes of any kind.
This is really funny. I mean, why don't all people laugh about that?
I don't know. Some people
laugh
are
at
not
them, you know,
as
insult or
as
harassment.
No, I'm not as comfortable, as open to them. Maybe some people
As you
are
can
anally retentive.
as you can see, I make jokes and Amy just sort of sits there
Blocks
and then says, "Wow." So
Yeah, but Fouad is the kind of guy that actually encourages you and applauds your
exactly.
your
It's good to be appreciated, you know.
Anyways, before we talk about the topic of this episode, which is Freaks and Geeks.
Oh yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the two first things. Back in season 2, episode 10, Over the Garden Wall, the guest for that episode, Mehrab, was here physically with me, and we recorded together. And today it's the opposite. Amir and Fouad are together in the underground layer because Amir is paranoid about that stuff. And
in the underground layer, I'm not like a
hacker or something.
Not even at that. I'm not a dictator, politically detested by the masses to be living in my concrete atomic grade bunker.
If we count YASP as a country, and but country of
Let's
two
not
people,
do
you are
that.
despised by the masses.
And the masses are like the 10 regular listeners that we have.
No. The masses is me.
Oh, okay. So this country of two people.
Yes.
Two people.
You're the dictator. I'm the revolutionary. Let's leave it at that.
So I'm the status quo.
I'm the tourist, maybe.
And he's the tourist to this amazing, beautiful country.
We have a revolving array of tourists who come in here, get weirdly uncomfortable when I make sexual jokes, and leave.
Okay, what an amazing country. I wonder why not more people tend to attend our tourist hotspots.
You know why? I blame it on racism. I bet if we were white, they would. I mean,
okay. Given the fact that I think before this season, all of our guests
were white.
Were not white, Iranian. So they were brown. We're kind of
Iranians are not brown. Somehow we consider yellow to brown or
of colors like a
I mean,
spectrum.
I'm not, but Amir definitely is.
Oh yeah, I'm like Indian level brown.
You're
well, that's
brown.
kind of racist.
You're chocolate.
But anyways,
chocolate brown.
That's not racist.
No.
I love Indians and I like their food.
Their food
And
is
I
really
look like
tasty.
them.
I mean, actually,
That's not only racist.
remember-
That is
It's
tasteless.
stereotypical.
sorry to interrupt, but I remember having like chicken tandoori in Malaysia when Beza was there.
This is his
It's
brother.
my brother, and it was really tasty and really
So
good.
Indian people good, the French bad. Am I right?
Oh yeah,
Ari?
French. Fuck the French.
But have
So,
I?
what
I
about-
know I have talked about this, but I
What is it
but
with
I-
the French?
but I'm keeping it with studying French. So it's been like 7 months that I've been studying French, and it's going on. So
Yeah, well, we all do things that disappoint our significant others. Some of us
and
fail
you're my
to.
significant other.
I
Weren't
mean, you're the
you
law.
just
You're
trying
probably.
to? Weren't you trying to overthrow me 2 minutes ago as a dictator of this country?
Well, there is a thin line between love and hate.
Uh-huh.
But actually, in every country which the dictator is actually existing, people deep inside love the dictator.
Do they though?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah,
not
exactly.
political.
I don't want
But,
to make it political,
anyway,
but like
I'm
the
not
Stockholm
trying to
syndrome.
make it political.
something
I'm
like that.
trying to say that,
That's
to
not-
be honest, this podcast and you are probably the longest relationship I've managed to keep. So,
That is
I'm getting
that is
emotional right now.
disturbing and
Yeah.
beautiful and
And
like complimenting at the same time.
yeah,
But
Well,
anyways,
speaking of disturbing
Despite
and
what the
beautiful,
future
let's
holds.
talk about. Oh yeah, let's talk about Freaks and Geeks. Now,
yeah.
before we go on, we need to talk about how each of us get to know the show, and then we talk about the show. Now, I'll we go first for reasons that will become clear. I actually started watching a show called Silicon Valley because of Ami. Ami told me it's a good show and you should watch it, so I started watching
Was it a good show?
It was, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you're gonna end up with saying like, and it was a shit show. But
Well, it was actually kind of good. I do like Mike Judge quite a lot in general. Like I love Office Space. Not a big fan of Idiocracy as much as I used to be.
Mhm.
But yeah, Silicon Valley was
How about Beavis and Butthead? Is a
Beavis and
magnum
Butthead-
opus.
Beavis and Butthead is the kind of humor I don't get. I don't get stoner humor. Like I really don't.
I think it's a kind of humor. First of all, it's a very temporal humor in the sense that I think it's the kind of humor that would have hit far harder and better back when it was actually being aired.
Yeah,
As like
yeah, it is
because-
a product of its time. It's
yeah, it is
definitely a product of its time.
extremely like it isn't
But-
timeless in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. But I do get where the comedy is supposed to come from. In contrast to fucking Jerry Lewis, who I don't know why people found. Okay, I'm not gonna.
Okay, you're
digressing.
digressing and you're
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
you're
I'm
headed
kind
into
of mad about Jerry Lewis, yeah, because okay. A little side note: I made a whole fucking 4-hour video, which, as we're talking, is being checked for copyright claim, and I got fucking one on YouTube.
you already
and
have
in-
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And in it, I talked a lot of shit about Jerry Lewis, which he deserves it. Fuck him. Anyways,
Of course.
I was gonna do that joke I did. Ami knows the joke. I'm not gonna do it about Jerry Lewis.
Yeah, please. Let's keep Jerry Lewis
Yeah.
to
Anyways,
yeah.
Silicon Valley. Now, in Silicon Valley, Martin Starr plays a character called Guilfoyle.
Yeah.
And I remember this clearly. I came to you and I said, I love Guilfoyle. And you told me, oh, you should watch Freaks and Geeks. That's where you find the origins of Guilfoyle, which you fucking lied.
I
Because his
kind of
character...
do think because he's
It's
a goddamn
not.
geek.
It's
He's not a genius.
It's
He's a
not.
dumbass. He's a dumbass. I know that. But he is extremely weird. And maybe maybe out of 10 possible outcomes for that geek, one would be for him to kind of like get out of that, snap out of that goofiness.
He's not
and then
detached enough like Guilfoyle. Guilfoyle is like very detached from everything.
maybe
And
he's detached because of like having the trauma. But I'm trying
well,
to like make up for the bullshit that I
yeah.
said. But
Anyways,
I mostly
you
meant it as
introduced
in
me
like
to
he's a geek there and he's a geek here. Like the
yeah.
characters, I think the guy that was casting him was like this character definitely has the properties of a legitimate geek, but like
I
a
mean,
far
dude, it's
more.
It's Martin fucking Starr. What else kind of character can they give him? He looks like a geek. He acts like
I
a
think
geek. He
he's
is
been
a geek.
typecasted as a geek. Typecast.
Yeah,
Anyways, I think he's been
exactly.
typecast.
Like, you
Yeah.
know how another character, which we see in this show, has been typecasted as the weed guy?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he is the
Well,
weed guy in this show too. We'll get to that soon. But anyways, yeah, that's how I got introduced to Freaks and Geeks, and I watched it. I had some levels of enjoyment. We'll get to that. And I actually didn't hate it. It was kind of good. And yeah, so how did you come by this show?
yeah. I got to know the show at the age of I think 16 or yeah, I'm gonna go with 16 because I think I was in the third grade of high school or maybe second grade. I don't know. I was at second grade of high school, so I was 15 actually, and I got to know it through IMDb. It was I think in the top 20 uh, list of TV shows, like the greatest TV shows of all time on IMDb back then,
Seriously?
at least. Yeah, it was. I think either top 20 or like top 30. Like it was really high. It was like 8.9 or something. And
Damn.
I was looking at some of them. Some of them I had watched. Some of them I was not interested at that point. And then I was like, what is this outliner? And outlier actually. I was like, this looks weird. And I knew like Seth Rogen, I knew James Franco. I liked James Franco back then, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Back
that
then
was
it's
a
very important.
yeah. And actually, I think the first time that I recognized this person was with 127 Hours, which was
Really?
I still think it's a
Not
good DC
Spider-Man?
movie. No, because when I watched Spider-Man, I wasn't old enough to understand who the fuck this guy is. I only realized
Oh,
that he was in Spider-Man when I rewatched it like a year ago. Uh,
damn.
yes, I had completely forgotten about the
Well,
existence
it
of this
shows the
guy.
importance of his character. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, so and then I was more in like enticed into watching it by realizing it's only one season. And back then,
Mm.
downloading new stuff was a hurdle because like the internet connections weren't as good as they are now. And I was like, okay, let's see what this is. Uh, Worst case scenario, I'm just gonna not interested in it. And I did download it, and I quite enjoyed it. I think I watched it at the right time, in the sense that
Yeah, yeah.
it's a coming of age high school, probably teen oriented TV show, and like
Yeah,
it kind of
exactly.
did strike a lot of. I don't like it chimed with my soul, I would say, and like one of the things that I do remember is it's weird though, but I'm gonna go with it. I think it's the first any movie or TV show that has made me cry. And the scene that I cried at was the episode that I don't remember the character's name, the kid, like
Sam Vera.
the yeah Sam, yeah exactly. Sam is like wants a new Atari console, and then at the end of the episode when he gets home, his father's bought him an Atari, and he like bursts into like tears, and the father and he hugs the father, and the father is like, "Whoa, he really wanted this thing!" Like he's surprised at the kind of reaction that he's receiving. Like he didn't know that his son likes that console that hard, and I cried because all my life I kind of like up until a certain age, I expected my father to realize how much I like consoles, like because I would tell him, like he knew that I like. For instance, when PS2 had come out, I was like, I want this, I want this, I want this, and he knew it, but he wouldn't like not just that anything, like all my life as a kid, I would tell him that I want this, and he never bought me something that I had asked him for as a surprise or anything. In that moment, it was cathartic for me because I was like, okay, I may not have. As I'm talking, my cat just passed. So he's our fourth guest right now.
Uh,
Oh my god.
yeah.
Anyways, so I did like I shed a few tears. I was like, I may not
I
have gotten it,
understand.
but he.
understand.
Yeah, so that's also a first time ever for me, as far as I remember.
Yeah, I mean, who am I to judge? I cried at the end of It's a Wonderful Life. I still do. Every time I watch it, I cry at the end of it just
It was
because
extremely
it's...
personal. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Fouad, how did you know the show that you're the guest for this episode of?
I think he got to know about it approximately 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. I had no freaking idea about it.
I had no freaking idea about Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
a little bit of behind the scenes. When we were discussing the show and what episode we're gonna do, I said Freaks and Geeks. I mean, do you have a guest in mind? He said Fouad has seen it. I'm sure of it. I've shown him myself.
Because he's been my friend for 17 years. I used to be a big fan of this show when I was younger, back in high school, and from high school up until now, me and Fouad, or Fouad and I, more grammatically correct, hang out a lot. Like I haven't spent as much time with anyone else as I have with Fouad. So, anyways, I thought like I could swear.
Hurtful.
Yeah, I know you're living in another city, so
Yeah.
I genuinely thought that there's no way that at some point he hasn't been showed the watch, at least like maybe hasn't watched it in its entirety, but I was like, he's watched at least 3 or 4 episodes and it's like a 1-season show, so he knows what's going on, but to my surprise I hadn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm still not sure. I am
sure
about it.
We've watched lots of things together. Yeah, what?
Let me ask you a question though.
Okay.
And it will lead into the discussion about the show. Have you seen the movie The Breakfast Club?
Nope.
Oh.
Have you seen any John Hughes movie?
I'm afraid not.
Okay. Can you name some of the John Hughes movies?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. 16 Candles.
Nope.
Pretty in Pink.
Nope. Well,
okay, think about an indication of what we're gonna do.
I mean, I can't. Go ahead.
If you had watched any of these movies, you basically watched Freaks and Geeks.
So it's like having what do you call? Like the essence of that director or producer.
No, it's like one could say subgenre or maybe genre. It's called coming of age, and it has at least in American cinema and TV shows and shit. It's kind of like these mostly high school oriented TV shows and movies that deal with the fact that like it's a big step in everyone's life.
Yeah.
The prospect of having to work, like it's the prospect of becoming an adult, like growing out of your bubble as a kid. And like maturing into and
walking through the maturity.
Yep. Yeah, like it's full of. It's like you go through puberty. It's the first time that you probably like feel affection, like sexual. Yeah, your dick. You're like the first time parts. Many people have sex. Not me.
Well, not me either.
I'm a nerd, so that goes without saying.
Well, it's like dude, we both went to all-boy high schools.
Well, that is true. Well, there have been a lot of people that like it. It is harder. It definitely is harder for an Iranian,
especially for people who have social anxiety.
AKA
Like,
both of us.
yeah, like
but
before I went to university, I didn't know. No, that's the exaggeration. I was gonna say I didn't know girls existed. I did know
I
girls
I think your connection is a bit
existed. I
with something.
Ali, I think this time you're
Debate
having
today.
problems.
Yeah.
Okay, do I come clear now?
Yeah, right now, yes.
If
Okay, I
your
was gonna
VPN
say-
is on, turn it off because it does work without a VPN once you're connected.
Okay, let me. Do you hear me now?
Yep. Loud
Okay,
and
I
clear.
disconnected.
Mhm.
And so, as I was saying, like I knew girls existed. I used to masturbate to porn all the time when I was a
It's
teenager.
an amazing piece of information tidbit.
You're welcome.
Like the show
But
would have been at a loss
Exactly,
without
without that.
piece of
exactly.
information.
No, but actually,
So-
it's pure and honest, so we cherish that.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Fouad.
Paul is a very
Thank you.
positive person. I don't
Yes.
like it. You have to be a cynical asshole, nagging.
He don't
all the
like
time.
it for 17 fucking years.
That's
Well, that's
that
all
shit is
toxic
making this episode
relationships.
all more like an old couple.
Exactly.
All the more like an
Exactly.
old couple.
Well,
So,
anyways, as I was saying, before I went to university, I hadn't talked to a girl that wasn't my family.
Okay, that even I wasn't that big of a geek. Like I did have
I was pretty sheltered. Like I went to school, then I came home, and I just stood home.
but I think the biggest attraction that this show has, like it offers the average the new viewer, is the cast that it has, because it's kind of an interesting
Yeah.
cast, especially
Not only
given the fact
cast,
that for many of them it was like their first serious thing.
Yeah, but not only the cast, like the behind the scenes stuff. The show was produced by Judd Apatow, and it was created by Paul Feig.
I don't know any of these people.
Well, Judd Apatow is the guy who basically jump-started James Franco and Seth Rogen's career, not only because of this show, but Knocked Up, This Is 40, those movies are Judd Apatow movies.
I don't know about them either, but if they
You've seen Knocked Up, it has Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl in it.
maybe, I don't know. It doesn't ring a bell
And
right now.
Paul Feig did a bunch of episodes of The Office, and he later made a couple of movies like Bridesmaids, which actually also was produced by Judd Apatow, and the Ghostbusters, the 2016 Ghostbusters movie.
That's not a good thing to have on your resume.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But
To put it as polite as possible.
yeah, but the show's cast is like magnificent over how many careers it sort of started.
Oh yeah, I think it's one of the few ones that like is the the big bang of their careers, so to speak.
Ironically, the Big Bang Theory was also the Big Bang of the career of its stars.
That's
like
kind of
Haley
disturbing.
Kuko and Jim Parsons. But yeah, the show's cast includes James Franco, Seth Rogen, Jason Segel. For those of you who watch How I Met Your Mother, that's Marshall in How I Met Your Mother.
Oh yeah.
And you got Linda Cardellini. I'm probably not pronouncing her name correctly.
And before you go on, she is very hot in this. Like
she's very hot in everything.
But no, the problem is that she hasn't aged gracefully, should I say? I don't know, like
come on, fuck off. Even when she voices a cartoon character, she's hot.
Last time I saw her, it was in what is it called? Modern Family. No, Modern Family. And she was like in one. She was supposed to be the sister of Gloria.
I don't remember that. No, that's not her.
Which character are we talking about? Are you talking about the blonde or the brunette?
Dude, the brunette.
Okay, the brunette sister of Gloria in one episode was her.
I don't think so.
Oh, you should
Let me
check that out.
see.
But
Yeah. Linda Cardellini, she was in Freaks and Geeks, of course. She, well,
just
according to Wikipedia, she wasn't even in Modern Family.
yeah, but okay, then if maybe I mistook her for someone else, but in that
I
case,
remember Gloria's sister. Gloria's sister is the actress from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
let me Modern Family. Then who the
Gloria's
hell
sister.
was that?
She was in Gravity Falls, as I mentioned.
Oh
she was,
yeah, I was. Oh yeah, this Gloria's sister was that person from. But I know that I've seen her in another sitcom.
just. I mean, can you take a look at what I've sent in the group chat while we are recording?
She has voiced the regular show as well.
Yeah, but can you look at the picture that I sent and tell me, without a sense of irony, that she hasn't aged beautifully?
I take what I said back, but at the same time, I'm looking for the goddamn TV show that she appeared
it
in one
Mad Men?
episode of. I haven't watched Mad Men. Oh, it was in New Girl. And by this, you now realized I watched New Girl. Which
You should
shouldn't
be
have.
ashamed.
I know, you shouldn't. But,
I watched Big Bang Theory, and I feel superior to you.
Zoe Deschanel is hot. That's the only reason I watched this thing.
Good to know.
Go watch fucking 500 Days of Summer then.
I know I wouldn't watch this goddamn thing again, but I watched it. It was extremely.
But anyways,
How can
Linda-
I talk about this show without sounding like a misogynist?
You will.
But this show is.
Let's enter the trio because I feel like I'm no use to your fucking podcast. Let's do something that I can talk about too because I haven't watched this kind of series and yeah.
Okay,
let's
Fouad, look at
do
that
something.
picture and tell me, is she pretty or not?
Well, in some tastes, she might be found pretty and hot, but not in my type.
Well, you have
Wow.
shitty taste
But
then.
okay, the reason that I said she hasn't aged gracefully, like her body is really good, but she's a bit too wrinkled. Like she is wrinkled like a 70-year-old.
Because she, you know, her weight is very important. Because
No, I mean, of course, but like,
Dude,
I don't know. How old is she?
she's thin.
How old is she? Is what I'm trying to.
I mean, she's 47.
Okay, for a 47-year-old, she looks like a 60-year-old.
Dude,
You
It's
know?
because of her
Dude,
weight.
I didn't know this. She actually used to be Jason Segel's partner from 2002 to 2008.
Whoa. Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, because the characters in the show...
Because the characters in Freaks and Geeks, they have an romantic arc, and it doesn't work out
exactly.
ultimately. Spoiler alert, by the way. But
I mean,
it's
you
like a
can't
one
spoil.
season.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't
it's
spoil
like a-
Freaks and Geeks. Anyways, she's in it. Jason Segel, as I said, is in it. Martin Starr is in it. He plays a... Okay, I need to talk about this because it's something that has annoyed me for years. According to American, especially, movies and TV shows, there are two types of nerds. One is scrawny kid with big glasses, which I affectionately call the Harry Potter nerd, which I know is a British thing, but I said American, but anyways. And the second type is the fat, bearded nerd. Now, I give you a guess which one I am, but...
Yeah. And which one I am. And by the way...
You don't wear glasses.
I think... And yeah, I know, but I am scrawny, and I... Like,
Yeah, but by the way, the outlooks on women is also interesting because, like, it has become a cliche at this point. The scrawny ones are the types that are obsessed with, like, anything a woman does to the point that, like, oh, she waved at me, she must love me, like in every single
they're
movie
like
and TV
they're
show.
romantically I don't know, like like anything that I want to say is going to be offensive in some way. But believe me, I'm not using the things that I'm saying in any negative light. I'm just it's like they're autistic in a supposedly funny way. Please don't get offended by this. Like they're
I mean, it shows
romantically
from the 90s.
retarded is what they're trying to like show them as, which kind of like, you know, it's like a stereotype.
Yeah, exactly, which is not a good stereotype, by the way. But funny thing is, the fat bearded ones, in everything they are presented, they fucking hate women. Like, that's their stereotype.
But, like, they don't even hate them. They're, like, kind of...
They're incels.
Yeah, like, the reason they hate them is that... Yeah, like sour grapes, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is the two types of nerds that appear according to, most American media,
if not all,
most American media, yes, and they don't cross over because I'm kind of a crossover. I'm a fat bearded nerd who is romantically autistic.
Okay, goddamn it! I shouldn't have laughed, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, this show, as you might have guessed, brace yourself, is about freaks and geeks. I mean, who could have guessed?
I think the naming is actually good though, like because these guys aren't nerds really. They are geeks in the sense that they're not even good at. They're not even good at school curriculum.
Yeah, that actually brings me to another aspect of how most media shows geekdom. The fat bearded ones are the ones who are lore heavy, like they get bogged down into like, this is how orcs are made in the works of Tolkien. And the scrawny ones are the ones that just quote shit. Like, General Kenobi, hello there.
Like, and they are like more on the techie side. Like they have like tinker with computers and digital shit, and they have a genius side.
The fat ones are into D&D and like
maybe like we've never been to an American high school. Maybe that is or used to be to some.
That's actually degree. I was gonna get to that later, but and this is Fouad. You can also join this discussion. Did your high school have cliques? Like clique of these are the jocks, these are the nerds, these are the music boys, these are the drama kids.
Mm-hmm. Okay, first of all, Fouad and I have been to the same, not same elementary school, but ever since that, like from the first
middle
year,
school.
First year of middle school, we've been classmates basically. So, and I don't really think that we have cliques, at least not in my city, as we do in maybe other countries or maybe other cities. But like for the most part, like of course there are like I don't know how to like group like maybe very. First of all, okay, let me give you a better idea. The schools that I went to all had uniforms. So the idea of like having so there you go, having like a clear visual cue as to what the groups are doesn't really exist. And then again, especially before high school, most kids, at least for my time and the schools that I went to, weren't really interested in anything specific. Like we didn't have jocks, we didn't have like geeks and nerds in the sense of like being too much into anything. We didn't have religious people, we didn't have goths. Like the society was so deprived of everything.
Wait a fucking second. You didn't have religious people
not in your city? Yeah, and I was going to one of maybe the most religious middle school, because it was Imam Reza Middle School. And even there,
Jesus.
like you couldn't find a kid that was genuinely religious. You know what I mean? Like the kid that was actually into it. Like we did do a lot of religious things, but no one was religious. And like even they, like the ones that were a bit more religious, they didn't hang out with each other. They didn't give a shit about religion. Religion wasn't something that was like deciding for them what to do. And you know what I mean? Because like
Bible studies, yeah.
Yeah, like because in a clique, you're like supposed to like just mingle with each other, and like the goths are only talking about their experience and they are hanging out with each other. But we didn't have any of that. Most of us were into video games. Like I was obviously more into it, and me and like a few other people of my age. But almost all of us were into video games. Almost all of us used to go to game nets. All of us used to like sports to some degree, but none of us were like jocks as you see in like TV shows like this. And this continued even into high school. But then in high school, there were things that me and Fouad were into. Like we were metalheads. We were more into video games because high school is a time that like
are you
a lot
ashamed of that?
Not really. I think me becoming a metalhead, at least in this country, was actually a good phase because it introduced me to a lot of good music and like like harkened my.
Why would be
taste.
metalhead would be something like a shame or something?
Because metalheads are some of the like. Don't look at ourselves. Remember Ehsan? And
Yeah, I do.
Like there's a stereotype of people who remain in that like stage.
Yeah.
And they become like parodies of themselves,
Mhm.
And also,
caricatures. You know?
more importantly, metal music sucks. Anyways.
No, I'm not agreeing with you in that.
We have like every
Fail,
genre. We have the
That
good ones and
genre
the
has
bad ones.
Let's talk about that though. Because all things aside, metal is a complicated music stuff. I mean, we have shitty stuff in every genre.
They said the same thing about punk.
Well,
punk, like technically, like in a technical aspect, is very bad music. But
metal actually
artistically,
because
I like
it has a root. It has very been influenced by. I'm not.
Okay, you're losing. You're actually. You seem offended by the fact that.
No, I'm not seem offended. No.
Okay.
I just want to clarify something.
Actually, I'm actually not that much against metal. I just love.
He kind of put a trap for you.
Yeah, I guess I just fell into it.
Provoke you, and
because I did listen to Metallica. We did a whole episode about Christopher Lee, and I talked extensively about his metal career.
Oh yeah, which you were actually kind of interested.
Metal is actually a genre, kind of genre of music that very influenced by classical, like Beethoven.
I know. Like I know
stuff.
how Metallica took Ecstasy of Gold and they played like at every concert. And Ecstasy of Gold, by definition, I know it's a movie soundtrack thing, but it's kind of like based on a lot of classical stuff, or like all of Morricone stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like symphonic.
And the only reason that I still like listen to some metal music stuff,
even today.
It's because it actually had they actually stuck to those roots and actually they continue.
Oh, you mean the ones that are still loyal to their classical?
I mean,
no, not being loyal.
A little bit of
they have the core,
people.
You have that. You can sense the core of.
Oh, you mean like even unconsciously they still retain some
exactly.
Of that. Okay.
Even if they don't know.
Okay.
I mean, a little bit of tease for people who just like this discussion. Listen to our next episode, which is going to be very music heavy.
Yeah, it's going to be about video game OST. But
But anyways, let's
get back to Freaks and Geeks. We were talking about cliques, and I just told you that I never really was in one. Even in high school, most of us were more alike than different. And also, I don't know if this is because I was going to like a private school, which in Iran, private school isn't as fancy as it is in other places. It's just like
I went to a private school as well.
yeah,
Like we don't
a
have
lot of
public
people go
school.
to private schools. Like probably more than 50% of urban people living in urban districts go
the thing about
some sort of a
Iran is
private
that
school.
like private schools. I mean that is the same with other countries.
It's like a run-of-the-mill kind of thing. It's not anything
I mean they
luxurious.
vary heavily in quality and in price. Like
Oh yeah, but you do have some private ones that are like the ones you would think of in like I don't know, San Francisco private
I hate to sound like a entitled asshole, but like the private school I went to had its own gym. It had an amphitheater. It had extracurricular activities. We used to have a newspaper for our middle school. Like our middle school had a newspaper that come out monthly. Not newspaper, magazine. I'm sorry, why did I say newspaper? Magazine that came out monthly, which I used to write for.
So, wow, that's the private school I went to. Had one of the most obnoxious principals. Like probably.
Oh no, we had that too. But
probably the only great thing about this high school was the memories, the hysterical and disturbing memories that we've accumulated
our headmasters,
of our headmasters, our principal, our teachers, and it was like a lot of like a tidbit for the listeners from outside Iran. A lot of private schools in Iran are actually like they rent or like mortgage houses that are like at the verge of being taken down and bulldozed and then rebuilt. So it was one of those schools. It was like probably like a 25-year plus, and 25-year plus again. It might not sound like a lot in like North America and Europe, but in Iran and in like Middle East, that like the golden age for any house was probably like 10 years. So when you're going past 20 years, it's almost crumbling. Like it's
what doesn't tell about Afghanistan.
Now I'm gonna sound like an entitled asshole, but the private school I went to, which I was there from the first year of elementary school until the third year of high school.
Oh, let's talk about loyalty.
Mm-hmm. Was built as a school. Like it was built newly and was supposed to be a school.
Our actually middle school was like that.
You were the lucky one.
And we didn't have gyms, but like it was a school built as a school, and it had like a really big yard.
I mean,
and all that. But still,
for my last year of high school, my fourth year of high school, I changed majors. For those of you who don't know, Iranian educational system is a mess. You have to choose your major.
Like, out of three, basically.
Yeah, actually, there is more than that.
We do have one at Istan, but
exactly.
But actually, not for all kids.
But mostly, parents are like when Istan is kind of like associated with the punks and the lowest of the low for some reason.
Exactly, they are associated with freaks.
Yeah, like if you tell anyone that you're going to Honar Istan, it's like telling them that you're never do good, lousy, lazy kid.
Which is again something of a sad thing. I chose math as my major, but in the last year of high school, I changed it. I went to art. And my last year of high school, I went to a high school which was it literally looked like a prison.
Actually, my middle school also looked like a prison.
Yeah, exactly. Like
the kind of facilities we had were exactly like a prison.
Exactly, like the bathrooms are like a prison.
Yeah,
you have bars on the windows, and you have fences around the perimeter in order to
stop that you
people.
Mention it. The headmasters were also prisoners, like
prisoners,
like prison wards, wardens. Wardens and wardens, and I like that. That very role made me British for a second. Warden, it's prison wardens. Prison wardens, and the treatment we received was also because the
Yep.
middle school we went to was kind of like maybe the closest thing to a Catholic school one could think.
Yes.
Because we were
But
forced to
for-
like recite Quran. And
Yeah,
then-
and we
For
were
Muslims,
forced to
yeah.
say prayers.
yeah.
I mean, I almost like.
We both got beat up.
Yeah,
for
we've beaten up.
you're beaten up for not saying prayers properly.
One time, because I was I remember this, and it was really painful as it gets. You know,
And by the same person, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Both of us got
Yeah.
beat up by the same person.
by the same damn person.
And this guy looked like a beast. Like he was huge.
I mean, at at that perspective, you're a kid. Yeah, everyone seemed
No,
huge.
even with our current standards, that guy had hands the size of orcs.
Because he was an orc. So let me tell you this.
Lot of fault
I
in that
remember
remark.
everybody was saying their prayers, and there was like in a stage.
Oh yeah, the stage that the imam has to
Yeah,
go
exactly.
on top of,
Go on top and then like talk,
which
or
is called the member in like
Yeah.
in Iran, a Persian word is, or Arabic word. I don't know. Member. And then
Mambar,
oh,
basically.
Mambar. Yeah. So all the students were saying prayers, and I was in the middle of their prayers. I didn't want to go, and then I was forced to go into that mosque.
It wasn't a mosque. It was like a praying building. It's called
Exactly.
Namaz
Hall.
Khune.
Yeah,
Praying hall.
exactly. It was like a school mosque. What do you call it?
Yeah.
And then I went up to this stage. I got into the chair I found, and then you know, we have a stage in saying prayers in Islam. We call it ruku. Like it's people are
It's
actually
prostrate. It's called prostrate.
prostrate. The
Oh,
people
no,
actually.
Ruku is not that. Ruku is not prostrate.
Oh, sajda.
That was-
prostrate.
yeah.
Ruku is like kneeling.
Ruku is,
Yeah.
no, it's not
Yeah.
kneeling. It's you bending over at
It's
the
been-
waist.
like the Japanese trying to
Greeting,
be.
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's ruku.
Yeah.
That's what's kneeling then? Not kneeling, like the stage that.
That's before the sage. That's between the
Yeah,
sajdas.
before the sajda. What's it called? Anyways,
You don't call it anything.
I don't make
I'm
sense.
just
Maybe
with us
even I
words.
don't know that.
Okay.
So they were like bending, and then I was like, you know, try to figure myself like a king on that chair, and doing.
Okay.
I'm nodding with me. I'm nodding and I'm smiling, and then this
Having a bit of fun.
yeah,
And the beast.
and the
comes up
beast
to you.
came to me, and oh my god, he didn't hesitate hitting my face with those orky hands.
And you like you span for like 10 times around
Exactly,
yourself.
and I didn't remember something like for 10
kinda-
seconds I was
You kinda had a
unconscious.
concussion.
Exactly, and then
Oh god.
I got out, and then when they called my mom, she came to the school, and then I was
Wow. All the high school drama that is.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
But anyways, we were talking
speaking
about
of high
creeks.
school drama, and exactly that's because there is something I noticed in at least my conversation with people. Because honestly, weirdly enough, you're not my only friend who watched Freaks and Geeks. A lot of friends from university did. A couple of friends from other places did.
I think it's a
Um,
famous show.
I think the only
relatively
person who
I
didn't
didn't-
watch this is me.
I mean, I only heard of it from Ami. I didn't know about it. Don't worry about
And
it.
that's telling though, because you know a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of obscure stuff.
Yeah, I watched Hammer stuff and I didn't watch Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah. And given
So,
the
yeah.
fact that it was high on top of the IMDb list, that makes it all the more weird in some
Yeah.
sense.
Because like any kid, I used to think, oh, that list is very important. And you realize, oh, no, it's
No,
not.
it isn't. It's just
Yeah.
stupidity en masse. And why
Yeah.
democracies can never work.
Anyways. And you ask why I call him a dictator. Anyway,
Oh god.
there is a weird through line that I see in almost everyone who watches that show and like talks very favorably about it. And when they talk about it, I realize a little bit of something. Like I asked them what you find interesting about this show, and it almost feels like they're substituting the
Themselves?
show. No, the show as their own high school memories. It's like, oh yeah, and
Oh.
it's like
Okay, so it's like an Iranian fantasy of having been grown up.
exactly
Having been in America.
being
Okay, that's
in a
interesting.
being in a place where you can be a freak or a geek, being in the same school
I'm gonna
as
cut you short with one thing that I was gonna talk about, but I forgot. And I think I've really thought hard and long about this, but I've never come up with an answer. We don't really have bullying in Iran in the sense that we see in
we
in
do.
American.
We do. We don't have a physical bullying as much. We don't, people get hit.
Even like the verbal bullying. I'm not saying we don't have bullying at all.
We do have a lot
in
of
most schools, we
passive
don't really.
aggressive.
Yeah,
bullying.
But like when I'm talking about bullying, I'm talking about the bullying we witness in at least in these TV shows.
Oh yeah,
The kind of bullying that makes you like the kind of thing that makes you want to kill yourself. You know what I'm talking about?
No,
we don't have anything
I don't think
close to that.
I mean, at least we haven't witnessed it.
Yeah. At least in our school.
That's the important thing. I was gonna say, like, I know a lot of people who got bullied in Iran. I wasn't one of them because, well, Amim has seen me. I am big, like physically massive.
Yeah,
I'm very tall,
he's like
and I am
Herculean.
Yeah,
he's tall.
A lot of
He's
people
tall.
didn't.
He's like almost 2 meters.
Wow.
No, I'm 193 centimeters.
So 7 centimeters.
Yeah,
difference.
It is almost 2 meters.
Almost 2 meters.
Yeah, but the thing is that because of my physicality, I wasn't very much bullied.
Bullyable.
But I did see, but I did see people getting bullied, and I heard stories of people getting bullied.
I think the lower you go in like a social class and like the region of the city that you're like
yeah, exactly. Like
live in.
As you might have mentioned from our stories of high school, the fact that we were able to go to a private high school,
like a Ford high school.
Yeah, means that we weren't really like in the midst of people who got bullied or got that. But even
then and there, most of those kids are like kind of like they can fend for themselves. Is what I'm trying to say. It's like
yeah. We don't have the bullet
because
social
like
dynamic because
the kind of pussies that don't bully people are all together in private high schools and school, and all the ones that would have bullied us are in public schools. So this kind of segregation, I think, shields
Iran
us.
is incredibly segregated when it comes to class, and it's we should do a political podcast at some point.
No, it shouldn't be YASP, but we could
no. Another show. We call it YASP, yet another shitty political podcast.
YASP. YASP! We call it YASP.
Yep.
But without a black
That was a yep. And he had another political
podcast. That would work too. Yep.
Yeah.
So another goddamn political podcast.
Hot cockcast. because we're leftist.
We've broken our dicks. The amount of sex we've had, so we had to.
So we didn't find any other topic to talk about.
I meant as in CUCK.
Okay.
Because you're leftist,
that's an extremely different.
It's
completely different.
Big cocks.
But anyways, let's get over this because it's been like an hour and we haven't talked.
That's what I was saying.
Specifically about this. Yeah, we have talked about a lot of things that surround it. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you.
That's the thing about this show. When you get down to it, it really doesn't have much to talk about. It's interesting because of the careers that it launched. It is literally a John Hughes story. The fact that it takes place in 1980s just firmly cements that. Even the show is from 1990s, it's set in 1980. So they really want that 80s nostalgia. They have the same kind of character beats as a John Hughes movie. You have the dad who talks about all the people that died.
And that extremely stereotypical, yet iconic, and yet true sense of fashion of the 80s, which was like,
exactly.
yeah, it's
And
like
like
a
the fact
very,
that I mean, we're gonna bring it back to race because it's kind of important. The fact that it's incredibly white, like
yeah, like,
dangerously white.
it's like an
Everyone is middle
almost
class.
no other race. Like, we do have kind of like one of the geeks kind of looks Asian, I guess, maybe
Good.
Japanese, but I don't know. They never
Okay.
talk about race really.
Yeah, but because it's era of color blindness, all that bullshit.
Yeah,
Uh, but the thing is that like this show is most John Hughes movies are also white. They take place in the suburbs of in
I
mostly
wouldn't.
Chicago. And Freaks and Geeks is taking place in the suburb. The families
It's
are
like a
all middle
specific
class.
social class, yeah,
Yeah,
specific
exactly.
race, specific region, or like social
Specific
structure of a part of
economic
city.
class. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like it is a John Hughes movie, but as a show, which is interesting because I haven't seen a lot of people say, well, I put Breakfast Club as my coming of age story, but a lot of people do it with Freaks and Geeks. I think because it was the 90s, Freaks and Geeks managed to be more risque than a lot of John Hughes stuff. So it resonated more with people. It didn't resonate with me, to be honest. Like,
I think it's a problem with the genre itself and not this. I think this is actually really good embodiment of everything that makes people like coming of age things, movies and books and
yeah,
everything.
yeah. Like I'm not
It's
the
just
biggest fan of
it's
Breakfast Club
nostalgia
either.
baiting.
Yeah,
Ultimately, all coming of age movies at some level, at some degree, are nostalgia baits. Like, you can't just deny
exactly.
it. Like, that's what they
Even
are.
shows like Big Mouth, which is like a newest coming of age story that I can think of, it is nostalgia baiting.
And sex education, which is kind of like a
Yeah,
spiritual successor to a lot of these things, again, is also like employs a lot of 80s style
yeah.
things in it, like the clothing and all that. And
So
yeah,
yeah,
it's just incredibly nostalgia baiting. And
I think
even
it's
the
kind of
stories that they
weird.
have, the characters that they have, the counselor that's like trying really hard to get them, but is like
Exactly,
mostly
like
detrimental than a help.
and he kind of looks like Chris Elliott, which was very big in the 80s.
And like
And like they have
they
actual 80s like figures. They're
references.
like
Yeah,
no, like actors who were big in the 80s. You know the
yeah,
coach? You know who the
yeah,
coach
yeah.
is?
I remember. Oh yeah, he's in Back to the Future.
Yeah, he's Biff.
Yeah, yeah,
Like and like you're literally just showing your hand basically. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing per se, like they can be good, but I'm just saying that remember nostalgia baiting isn't something for now. It's been going on since Freaks and Geeks.
yeah. And
And so
also,
that's why I don't have a lot to say about the show because although we talked an hour about it,
there isn't.
ultimately
There's not like any stylistic like cinematography or like color palette.
yeah,
Like, there isn't anything particular to this show. The only thing that does set it apart to some degree for me, first of all, I do have fond memories of it because I watched it at a time and age that it kind of like,
it's literally nostalgic for you.
no, it's not just nostalgic. Like, I was going through some of the things that the characters are going through in the show, so it was kind of
Yeah.
like I could relate to them. Like, in my own way, I was like not being understood by your parents, having
I understand.
trouble making friends, like having kind of like a sense of doom from what's about to happen in your life, all of that.
Smoking
So
a
it kind
lot
of,
of weed, listening
no,
to Led
that I didn't.
Zeppelin.
But like, yeah, exactly. Finding new music and going to concerts. Like, there's a funny story of me going to a concert in one of the most religious cities in the metal one at that. But anyways,
Oh, damn.
yeah.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
I understand, but that's the thing about this show. It sort of substitutes the memory of the high school that I feel like it's kind of interesting when you think about it. How
Of course,
American
it's very
media.
interesting because after 17 years, I just found out Andrew went to middle concert in the middle of here.
Like it was
Where?
Andisha Hojar and his band in a
Subco?
I don't remember the names.
Saloon. It was a
It was a
amphitheater or something.
No,
like
it
that.
wasn't a saloon. It was kind of like an almost underground in the sense that it was at a rehabilitation center.
NA.
I think.
I held concert for there 3 times myself.
Okay, so
you've never been there.
I was there once, and I think you were as well, because it was in high school.
I wasn't there with Andy Shay.
No, you weren't playing in the audience.
No, I weren't. I wasn't there.
Okay, I don't. Maybe.
But okay, I get it.
But
We'll talk about it after the.
Yeah, you will
episode,
be angry about it after.
No, I was surprised.
No, but anyways, I was just gonna say that this show, the only thing that does set it apart is extremely good music. Like, I got introduced to the Who by this. Not introduced. I knew Who, but this show like made me enjoy them the same way Stanley Kubrick made me enjoy classical music with Clockwork Orange.
Dude, that's the thing though. Those John Hughes movies also had a lot of good music.
Okay, then he has a good musical taste. And
No, that's the thing that I was gonna say. It doesn't really set it apart. Like, it's a literal continuation of John Hughes to even the visual style and even the musical choice. Like, you know the song "Don't You Forget About Me."
I know, but like even the beginning of the show, which is like the theme song of the show, is I forgot the name of the singer, but like she's called the godmother of punk music.
Oh
like,
my god! What
don't give
great...
a damn about my reputation, like a punk music.
No.
You know?
I know.
And like one of the characters is a punk phase, like James Franco.
A Bad Reputation by Joan Jett.
Oh yeah, Joan Jett. Yeah, Joan Jett is like by many considered like to be one of the founders of like punk music.
I do agree. There are a lot of good songs. Like there are Styx songs.
No, it's not just good songs.
Song.
It's like the fact that like Marshall, I'm gonna call him Marshall, Segal, is like
Jason Segal. Yeah,
and Jason Segal is like obsessed with John Bonham, of the drummer of Led Zeppelin.
Exactly.
I think, and he's like he's God, and when he hears about the news of his death, and then the Cordelli, was it called, the name of that actor, the female.
Linda Cardellini.
Yeah, Linda Cardellini is like, okay, what's the big deal? Why don't they just replace him? And he's like, dude, you don't get it. Yeah, and I think it's more than having a good taste in this show. It actually does kind of bleed into the story and like the characters and their identity is based on it. I don't know about his other shows. If they're the same, then I don't know.
Pulp Fiction?
No, like you were saying that it's the continuation of the pattern of whose work?
Oh, no. John Hughes.
Okay, so John Hughes make it a very prominent aspect of his characters in his other creations?
It is kind of important. Like, the music is a big identity of his movies. Like, you can't take that away from him. Especially in like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and The Breakfast Club. I know what you mean. Like, they built a character around the music.
Mm-hmm.
Which is he doesn't do that in that show. But as I said, this is a continuation. Like, it's a good song. So if you want to do 80s, you have a lot of good music to choose from 70s.
Yeah.
Because 80s sucked.
80s is like a transformation, like an area of passage from really good music into the next step in music.
Shitty music.
Yeah, and like it was also like the peak of introduction of like synthesizers and electronic devices into music. So they were just like
I mean, to be honest, you know the song that defined the 80s, right? Like the started the 80s.
I guess I do, but what are
Video Killed the Radio Star? which
Okay.
led to MTV, and like it was a very big song that kickstarted the 80s. It was
Yeah.
made in the 70s. It was
Interesting.
1979.
So it's like at the very cusp of it.
Yeah. But like they use a lot of 70s songs, which as they should. 70s songs are amazing, and some of the best stuff that David Bowie did was in 70s. And but yeah, anyways, as I was saying, the thing about Freaks and Geeks is that I feel like it's like the end point of John Hughes movies, like coming of age stories from the 80s culminated in this one show. And it's interesting for us to watch because we saw how these people went. We saw how Judd Apatow did. We saw how Jason Segel, Seth Rogen, James Franco, and the cast did. We saw how Paul Feig did. So, it's a culmination of that, but it's kind of interesting for me how the idea of American high school is just so entranced in us that
Healing.
yeah, like we in Iran, we don't have high schools like that.
No. Even our universities aren't like that.
Our universities is the closest thing we do have to those high school cliques. Like the first time I ever saw two cliques was in university. And I went to an art university, so like everyone there was already, we were like a clique, like a massive clique, and we had sub cliques.
Sub cliques, that's an interesting term.
Yeah, we like had the Godard fans, and we had like Bruce Lee fans, and we had like Arnold Schwarzenegger fans, and it's kind of interesting. I was cliqueless because I watched all of this
I refuse
shit.
to believe that there is someone in art school that's an Arnold Schwarzenegger fan.
Oh, dude,
that's like going to study athletics and like
exactly
being I don't know, like
if you would be a nutritionist or kind of like you want to do like physical education.
It's like going to cuisine school and culinary school, trying to become a chef, and your favorite food of all time is like mac and cheese by fast food chains. That's how do you do that?
Well,
actually,
I mean, to be honest, and it's kind of interesting, I'm gonna play a little bit of a devil's advocate here. Most Arnold movies, I know a lot of them are known for being cheesy and stupid, but a lot of them are very important when you want to study action, especially Terminator 2, The Predator, Total Recall.
I know all of that, but like, I don't know, it's kind of weird.
I mean, dude, it's important to have. That's actually part of the problem. A lot of these people usually get ridiculed by other cliques because they love action, and we do need good action directors. Action directors usually get a lot of praise.
Michael Bay.
Not that. I was mostly thinking like James Mangold and James Cameron, even though I don't like James Cameron. But like, you do need people who understand action. One of the reasons Iranian war movies are so fucking stupid is because they don't understand how to do an action scene.
Well, I think the biggest problem is that we don't have budget.
Good
war movies require a lot of
That's not
money.
The problem at all. Like, seriously. I know that is like a shorthand for a lot of people. Oh, we don't have budget. That's not the problem. We actually do have quite a lot of...
I can solve that if you let me. I will ask Guy Ritchie to come here with this budget of, for instance, like...
Guy Ritchie to direct an Iran-Iraq...
Just give him a fucking camera.
That's holy defense.
That's actually a good thing, because Guy Ritchie started by making literally like small budgeted movies, but he did action great, like Small Lock... No,
he's genius for the action. Like,
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying
he's genius.
Guy Ritchie, with his British sense of humor and action, directing a holy defense in Iran cinema.
Why not?
That's gonna be.
It's a whole new project for him. It's a new experience.
That's probably something that's gonna happen.
I mean, they're not gonna let him in.
Of course,
Yeah.
and this would never happen. But if you give the camera,
Theoretically.
or if you give
it would be it would be
in the hands of a doer, it would that person finally does
would be
what
something to watch.
Yeah,
Definitely.
but
exactly.
But having said all of
anyways,
this, it's been like
the
an hour
only
and
thing,
15 minutes.
the only
Let's
thing I
try
wanted to
and wrap
just
this up.
say, and before we wrap this up about that thing, is that the shorthand of "we don't have enough budget" is, as I said, a shorthand. It's false. Like, it's something we want to believe, because the problem is deeper than that. It's a lot of systematic issues.
I thought the budget is the biggest.
No, the
Oh, no.
creativity and
We
you
had
go
one
ahead.
of the
Go ahead.
we had one of the most expensive movies ever made in Iranian cinema, which was the Muhammad one, and we made a movie about Muhammad, and it was made by Majid
Prophet,
Majidi.
Yeah,
the Prophet.
I watched that. Yeah, and it was supposed to be a trilogy, by the way.
I mean, the thing is that the budget is not a problem.
It's about the people who are doing it.
The way
The
that
budget-
you had to hide your cough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The budget is not a problem. It's the people who are doing it.
Exactly. You can have. I mean, let's not talk about Iranian cinema. Talk about one of the most expensive movies ever made. Do you know what that is?
No?
It's
Pirates of the Caribbean?
DC's. No. It's Warner Brothers Justice League.
Oh, that's a disappointment.
Yeah.
I think it used to be at some point Pirates of the Caribbean 3 or something. But anyways, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Any final
Anyway.
thoughts about Freaks and Geeks? I still hold it in a favorable place, mostly due to nostalgia, I would say, and the good music.
Yeah.
I always find myself indebted to this thing because it kickstarted my curiosity towards in specific hippie movement kind of music that I might have missed otherwise. And I enjoyed it, and from time to time I actually do watch, like, in the background, kind of noisy thing, background noise stuff, listen to it and watch it
I know. I understand.
once in a while. But it's not like, it's not like anything amazing to me. And I don't think it was used, like, I don't think anyone got inspired by this to make anything else. You know what I mean? Like, it's not an impactful, influential piece of art.
Well, I'm with you. I think the people who are in it went on to do great things, mostly, for the most part. Talking about you, Paul Feig. Why did you do the Ghostbusters movie? But the thing about this show is that I watched it at a very late stage of my life. I wasn't sort of coming to age. I was
You had
age.
already come to age.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird that my coming to age show was Sarbedavan and Hezar Dastan. So, like,
And that's
I have
they're
nostalgic
not coming of
feeling.
age.
No, I
shows.
have nostalgic feeling about when I was coming of age. I watched
They're
those.
going off the age. They're leaving off the age. They're
But that's
about
the
death.
thing. Exactly. When I was coming of age, I watched those shows. And I
Yeah.
watched Jeeves and Wooster, like that shit. So
Yeah.
the thing is that I think it's a good, like, if you want to watch it, I don't think you really like, oh, it's bad, don't go at it. It's a good show. It's not anything special to me. But
especially
honestly,
if you're 22 or 3 plus, it's not going to mean much to you.
Yeah.
It's best watched between 14 and 20, I would say.
Yeah, which if you're listening to this show, if you're 14, don't tell anyone. We put it as explicit. You shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, it depends
But-
on the country. I mean, most
Yeah.
Germanic countries are like 16 plus is the age of consent.
I mean,
And
I
age
said
of, like,
14.
whatever.
And I didn't mean
yeah,
the age of
that's-
consent.
But an age of consent, not
Fucking
just
weirdo.
sexually. No, I mean, like, age of being considered, like, to be able to be
God,
considered an adult.
I love how
How I
what do you say?
backpedal.
No,
How I
no,
panic?
not back. Yeah, how panicked you were. No, I didn't mean it as sex stuff. I didn't mean.
That's not Jesus. Don't hold me against any kind of law.
Yeah. Anyway, so It, but it. I always found it interesting in how cemented the image of American high school is to us, that we all sort of accept it, and the cliques nature of it, even though, at least in my experience, we didn't go through that. As I said,
Mhm.
I know probably the bullying and the cliques might vary, but I know for a fact almost all schools in Iran are gender segregated.
Oh yeah, that is a fact. Yeah, they have been
Yeah,
for 43 years.
yeah, like
It's really
for
surprising to other
genders.
people.
Yeah,
Living.
for schools to be gender inclusive, they have to be like at the like some far away village where they literally
Yeah,
can't
like
have
because
two
literally
schools.
don't have the infrastructure, and they are always the like limited to elementary. Like middle
Yeah,
school, you don't have that. In elementary school, however, in villages that are disconnected from the grid and most human civilization,
no, no,
they.
he's
No, I'm
actually it's
joking.
actually no, it's actually a big problem, dude. Like a lot of villages in Iran are massively underfunded. They barely have electricity, let alone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially in like the south and the west, because
Southeast,
they're
like fucking Iranian government hates Southeast.
they hate
Sistan.
everything. Yeah, but
Yeah,
let's not get political. Fuck that.
yeah. But anyways, like I found it interesting, and I also found it interesting in when talking to people, they sort of replaced their own memories with the memories of this show, as if, oh, we went through this.
Okay, I
When I
think
know,
now most kids are doing it with anime. You know, because we have a lot of high school anime, which is like there. It's different. It's not coming of age. It's just an entire world of anime is
yeah,
built
yeah.
on high school, and they
I
are
mean,
in
yeah.
varying genres.
When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about people over the age of 20 that I know, or like,
Okay, that's a bit problematic if you're like that after like at 25 and being like that. That's kind of it's a
no, no, no,
red
no.
flag.
Like they watched it when they were like 18, and at that point, anime to Iran was the Captain Tsubasa anime only.
No, no, I mean like if if I'm 25 and I hold this TV show at a like dear place because it kind of replaced my own Iranian experience with an American, like a fantastical, imaginary American one. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, but I can understand why. Like it's,
Oh yeah, of course.
as I said,
It's
it's fantasy.
escapism. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so this episode was a mess, but I think it was important
No,
because it is
it wasn't
about,
a mess.
it was about
Actually,
talking about, yeah, high schools.
it in some sense it was not as orthodox to YASP, whatever that means, as it should have
Yeah.
been. But then again, I couldn't have brought myself to talk about anything about this show for more than like I.
I know.
It was a coming of age episode of YASP. You know.
I
Yeah.
mean, we did come.
No, we didn't. I think you
I
might
did
have. Okay, that's good. That's great.
when we were talking
Amazing.
about
But
music.
fuck this shit. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you for
So
listening to us.
yeah, just
We're
a
gonna. You're
tease, by
gonna.
the way. This is the
Mm,
first time we're gonna record 2 episodes in one sitting. So yeah, when you listen to us on the next episode, it's actually been recorded like a few minutes after this. Isn't that
yeah.
exciting? Aren't you
Yeah.
just erect with excitement?
Okay. That's.
I'm aroused.
Thank you
Thank you.
for an
Fired.
amazing wording, both of you. But
You're welcome. Anytime.
with that,
With that being
is
said-
there anything you would like to add? Because I think your time for shining is going to be the next episode.
Well, we actually talked about lots of things. You know, the side talking was, like the experiences, personal experiences.
Okay, it's always
different styles.
kind of like this.
Mm.
Not necessarily when we're talking about video games, but when
Yeah.
we're talking about movies, we usually kind of have to dive into personal
I think
life.
for the audience or the podcast listeners,
It's kind of like they get to know us more.
They
And
get
honestly,
more thorough. Yeah.
the thing about Freaks and Geeks is that when you're talking about it, you can't talk about the characters of the show because it's a show from 1990s. They don't change, they don't grow, they don't become better people. You can't talk
And it's
about
kind of
aesthetics
messed up because they were kind of hoping for a continuation of the show, I would assume. So
yeah, but
a lot of the things that are trying to be built are left in the air.
yeah, that's the thing about gambling with your storytelling like that. You leave it for the next season and then you don't get one. And so the stories are just incomplete.
Yeah.
Firefly did it, Alphas did it, and they all got fucked.
So anyhow, I think it was a kind of more personal experience.
Oh yeah, that it was.
Yeah.
That.
This season has had a lot of outstanding, not outstanding as in amazing, I mean outstanding episodes in the sense. We had a really political one.
Yeah.
We had a really personal one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You had one with a girl on. Can you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Yeah.
Yeah. We all came that night.
No, we didn't. You did.
Anyways, we will see you
next time.
As a matter of fact,
which
this
for
is
us is going to be very soon, but for you it's going to be with a 3 week.
And it's the first time we can tell you we will see you in the next episode because we're not going to die. Yeah.
Well,
maybe we're going to die. But it depends.
Yeah.
It depends.
But it's highly improbable. Incredibly improbable.
If one of us dies, the other one can just do the episode.
Yeah,
like we do have the file.
Carry the torch. Carry the flag. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And by the way,
internet might die, but not
it's 2:18 a.m. right now, and we're just gonna
we're just gonna have to wrap this up.
Yeah, exactly.
See you all in the next episode.
We wanna thank you for listening to a shitty podcast. Yet another shitty podcast. We are deeply happy inside, and you don't have anything better to do. Don't waste your time here with us. YASP. Yet another shitty podcast. Shitty podcast. Thank you for listening to our podcast.